Hello everyone. Now our problem is our experiment is to execute a producer and consumer code problem code. So for that, what we have to do is we have to write the code. This part is for initial configuration, and at this point it asks this is displayed first. This part asks for the choices. So what is for the first, what is producer and consumer code is if you enter a buffer size, it will ask for the choices. So if we give produce, so if a producer produces the item, if you enter one, that is produced. So at that point, producer produces the item, and when I can, and if you press under, it goes on increases until the buffer size is full, and when we press 2, the consumer will consume the item so that it will get reduced. So at the point, if consumer consumes all the items and then there is nothing left, so it will be empty, so the buffer will be empty. So and now we are using switch case for that, so we have to bear it in mind. This part of the program is what is just initial one, so we can't say anything, and this is displayed at the starting of the program. So while if you press 1 and we give switch case 1, that is if we enter 1, so there are 3 cases. So if the buffer is completely filled, we will get buffer is full. If it is empty, it is empty, and if we give a wrong number, it will say invalid choices return. And this is the actual part of the code. So let's see how it works. So for that, I gave the buffer size as 3 and enter. It will ask me for my choices. So I will just expand it a little bit. Enter my choices 1. So enter. So produces item 1 and item 2, 2 items, sorry, and 3 items. And if I press another one, so buffer size is 3 and the producer produces 3 items. So it is full, and at this point I am entering 2. Consumer consumes a third one item, that is item number 3, and enter. Consumer consumes item number 2 and consumer consumes item number 1, and if you press at this point, three items are completed. So if I press enter, buffer is empty. So this is how the code works. Thank you. So our next problem is read and write problem. So what is read and write problem? In read and write problem, a writer can modify the data and a reader can read the data, and a writer have only one time access. A multiple readers can read the file, but only one writer can change the file. And so let's see how it works. So we press the compile. So multi so as we said, multiple readers can read the file at once. So reader read count as 1, read count as 1, and at this point writer enters modified count to 2, 4, 8, 10 and so on. This is how reader writer problem works. Thank you. So our next problem is dining philosopher's problem. So what is dining philosopher's problem? Dining philosopher's problem. In dining philosopher's problem, only one can eat it. A certain number of chairs will be present, and a certain number of people has to eat the food. So so this is the program. This part is about declaration of variables and all the things that has to be done at first. And this is the thing that is visible to us at first. When we enter the choice and it will perform other processes. And this is the logic behind the first, the one. That is if what should happen if you press 1. And this is the part what should happen if you press 2. And then these are the print have to be printed, and these are part of process that has to run. So if you press run, it will start compilation and it will ask us the choices. So one can eat at a time. So I want one person to eat at a time. So if we maximize it, philosopher one one philosopher two at a time. Philosopher two is waiting. So one is eating, two is waiting, two granted to eat, one is waiting and three is waiting, and two finished eating, one is granted to eat and three is granted to eat. One finished eating, three finished eating, five is waiting. So the number of philosophers is five, and only one can eat at a time. So this is how it works. And if we allow two persons to eat at a time, so philosopher 1 and 4 are granted to eat. So 2 and 5 will be waiting. 3. So this is how the command problems work. And if we press 3, exit. So this is how it works. Thank you. So in the first problem, that is reader producer consumer problem, a certain quantity of if you enter a buffer size, the producer should fill the buffer size. A producer will produce the data that fills that buffer, and the consumer will consume the data produced by the producer. And in reader writer problem, writer can modify the data and reader can read the data, and multiple readers can read the same data at same time, but only one writer can modify the data. So that is, and in the third one, that is dining philosophers problem. So philosophers have to spend their time parallelly eating and thinking. So in this problem, there are five philosophers, and our choice is we have to decide how many of the philosophers can eat at a time. So if you give one philosopher at a time, the remaining four should wait. And in the second case, if we give if we allow two philosophers to eat at the same time, we have to what we have to do is we have to allow the remaining three philosophers should be in the waiting list. So this is how the code works, and these codes are part of semophers. What are semophers? These are classic problems using synchronization. Classic synchronization problems using semaphore. Thank you.